welcome to or back to my channel. My name's Annie, and today I'm going to be doing my February reading wrap-up. I did not read that much in February. I finished 5 books, and honestly, I've just had a lot going on. I'm hoping this doesn't carry too much into March. It's currently March 7th, and I think I've finished a book. Yeah, I finished a book. So that's good, but there's been a lot going on in my family life and my personal life that it's just a lot, like a lot going on. I'm okay, don't worry, but it's just, I've been doing other things. That was such a long explanation. The first book that I read in February was Society of Lies by Lauren Ling Brown. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. This book basically follows 2 different timelines. It's set at Yale? It's set at Princeton. Which honestly, great setting. I visited Princeton once and I wanted to go there so bad. Like, if I had been able to get into an Ivy League, I would have wanted to go to Princeton for sure. It's stunning. It follows this woman, I think her name is Maya, and she went to Princeton 10 years ago at the time that the book is taking place. The book takes place in, I think, 2023 or 2024. And the book opens with her going to her sister's graduation party. And her sister is also graduating from Princeton. But she finds out her sister is dead. Both of them were involved in a secret society at Princeton, and Maya suspects that this society had something to do with her sister's death. So we get kind of like 3 timelines. We get flashbacks from when Maya went to school there, flashbacks from when her sister was in school at Princeton, and then the present day when Maya is trying to solve the mystery of her sister's death. Imagine her name not being Maya. It might not be. I think it is though. I don't want to look it up. I thought that this was just fine. I think at first I really liked the setting, and honestly, the beginning and like the tone of the book can be very Gossip Girl kind of, where it's like it's glitzy and there are these parties and it's like rich kids just getting drunk, and I kind of loved that because I was here for the drama. But I think just towards the end, things kind of fell apart. I just think it lost itself a little bit at the end. One thing that rubbed me the wrong way was one of the twists, but I don't want to get into it because it's a spoiler. You kind of find out that a character went through a certain trauma that I won't name. I don't want to spoil it, but it didn't really explore the effects of that trauma on her in any real way. Like, I get that it was a twist at the end, but they did like label it for what it was and then like kind of not explore fully its impact on that character. And I just think that there were some parts at the end that were just a bit messy. It felt a little bit lost. With that being said, this is a debut book and I thought it was a pretty good debut. The writing was mostly very good. There were a couple parts that were just a bit unclear. So there would be several circumstances like this where it would say that a character, for instance, sat down, and then a couple lines go past of dialogue, and then all of a sudden they're standing by the desk, and you don't know, like, there's no dialogue about them getting up and moving, which seems like a really small thing, but when you're trying to picture something in your mind as a reader, like, it doesn't make sense. So I know that's kind of nitpicky, but it did happen several times to the point where sometimes during certain scenes I was a little bit confused about what was actually happening physically, like with the movement of characters and stuff. One thing I did really like about it though, and I thought was really interesting, was the fact that our 2 main characters and the author are half African, half Asian, and the interesting sort of intersectionality of that. The characters specifically talk about how people are so uncomfortable with the fact that they can't put our main characters into a specific box race-wise. And it seemed like this is something that the author has experienced herself. And it's a very unique experience that I do think I really enjoyed reading about and thinking about. I think that there was a lot that this book was trying to say. And definitely when it comes to things like acceptance and diversity, I do think it did really well with that. But there were just some themes that could have been handled better, and some parts where it just felt yeah, a bit messy. I hope that that made sense. The next book I read was actually a book that I've been rereading for a year, which sounds dumb, but basically I wanted to read the audiobook of this book and annotate while reading it because I have a new copy of this book, but I kept not having time to read the audiobook whenever I would get my hold-in from Libby. And so I was like working on this at a snail's pace, and I finally got it all done this past month, and that is A Curious Beginning by Deanna Raybourn. I have now annotated. I really need to put in tabs, and I still haven't done that. I also haven't even set up my reading journal for 2025 yet. So I have a couple things I need to work on. What can I say? Like, this is one of my favorite series ever. I don't think that this is the best book in the series, but it's a very good one. If you are not new to this channel, you probably have heard of this. I talk about it all the time, but this is the Veronica Speedwell series. It follows our main character, Veronica Speedwell. She is a lepidopterist in Victorian England, which means that she is a butterfly collector, and she's a scientist and like a natural historian. The series is basically like little contained mysteries in each book following Veronica and her sort of sidekick partner, Stoker, who's a natural historian as well as a taxidermist and many other things. And honestly, it's so beautiful. Like, the characters are hilarious and lovable and really fleshed out and really unique, and that extends to the side characters as well. Veronica and Stoker have this slow burn romance that is the most beautiful thing I've ever read. They are just chef's kiss. Like, I don't even like romance like that. This makes me believe in love somehow. I'm obsessed with it. I'm glad that I got to reread it again. I think this is my third time reading it, which honestly, I need to make more progress on the series because I have read this 3 times and I've only read the first 4 books in the series, and there are 9 out currently, I think. So hoping to continue with the series soon. I'm really glad that I reread this, and I'm looking forward to like rereading and annotating the other books in the series and continuing on with the series as well. Next, I read Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. This is the first book in an Australian mystery series, and I loved it. I listened to it on audio. It's very tongue-in-cheek narration. It kept me guessing. I don't typically like mysteries or like thrillers as much as I like this one, although I think it's more of a mystery. So this series follows our protagonist, Ernest Cunningham, as he solves a variety of murders. I'm currently reading the second one, which is set on a train, but the first one is about this family retreat he takes with his family. Obviously, everyone has a secret, and they're at this like snowy mountain lodge, and it's an isolated setting, and people start dying. And Ernest writes how-to books for writers, specifically how-to books for mystery writers. So it's books that you can buy like on Amazon for $1 that's like how to write a murder mystery like Agatha Christie. And his narration is so brilliant. Also, the audiobook narrator does a fantastic job. I highly recommend. Basically, he sets it up as if he's like, I'm a real guy, this really happened to me, but I'm also trying to write the events of what's happened. And I'm going to use my mystery writer rules that have been used by mystery writers like Agatha Christie in the past to tell you this story, because that's like his framework for his job, if that makes sense. So he is like the self-aware narrator, like writing down the events after they've happened. And he's like, I want to make this fun. Like, I want you to be able to try to solve it too. So I'm going to tell you, like, I'm someone you can trust. I'm a reliable narrator. There's going to be this many deaths. In the one I'm reading right now, he's like, the killer's name is going to be said this many times. Like, he gives you little clues, but I still couldn't solve it. To be fair, I wasn't really trying to solve it, but I am for the second one, so we'll see. I don't know. It just felt really unique. Like, he is self-aware, and he cuts in and he gives you little like summaries of what's happened so far, and he's like, well, you're probably thinking that this is the top suspect, and I would understand if you did, because we've got this and this fact. And I'm like, I don't know. It was fun. I hope I'm making sense. But I really enjoyed it. It was honestly sometimes laugh out loud funny. I loved all the characters. I loved the like old-fashioned style of the mystery. I've only read one Agatha Christie book and it was a long time ago, but this makes me want to pick up classics as well as keep reading this because it's very much in conversation with older books in the genre. So I really loved it. 4 out of 5 stars from me. Next, we have Quicksilver by Kelly Hart. I have just posted a reading vlog where I read this. Yeah, when I finished it, I gave it 3 stars. It's currently at a 1.5? I don't know, but I didn't like this. I really didn't like it. This is a romantasy book and it is about this girl named Saris. She lives in this world that is really hot. She lives in this kingdom and yes, it's really hot out, so everyone's always thirsty. And there's this like tyrannical queen that rules the kingdom and she withholds food and water from the poorer populations, which Saris is a part of. So to take care of her brother, Hayden, and provide for the two of them, she is a thief. And one day she gets into lots of trouble for something that she steals. She's about to be executed and she draws this sword out of a pool of silver. And we learn that she has special powers. She's an alchemist and she can work with silver, specifically Quicksilver, which is a magical substance in this world. Her pulling the sword out of the silver opens up all these portals, and our love interest, Kingfisher, comes out of a portal, grabs her, and takes her to the Fey world. There is a catch to the portals though. If you go through them without a relic containing a bit of the Quicksilver, you are driven crazy basically. It really impacts your mind. And the portals have been closed for a long time, so there's not many relics. Since Saris is an alchemist, the king of the Fey world and Kingfisher kind of make a deal with her and they say, hey, if you make us a bunch more relics, we will send you home to your family. So that is the premise of this book. I didn't like it. I tried really hard to like it. If you watch the vlog, like I'm trying to be so nice in the beginning and at the end I just completely fail. It's a really popular romantasy book right now or over the past couple months. And in that video I talk about why I think that's the case. I think that romantasy readers might think that it's something a bit different in the genre, but I personally didn't care for it, especially Kingfisher. That man is my #1 enemy at the moment. I hate him so much. I hate him so much. I don't want to spoil anything in case you want to read it. And if you read it and loved it, honestly, I'm so happy for you. I wish that could have been me. So no judgment to you, but I can't turn off my brain and like, especially my like fight or flight when it comes to men when I read books. And Fisher was terrifying. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not going to say much, but I just don't like the way that he treated Saris or really anyone in the book. He was just a bit of a jerk. The end had a lot of twists. I will say that I was surprised. At times I did feel like the writing was atmospheric. It wasn't the worst writing I've seen, hence why it's a 2 and not a 1. I was kind of mildly entertained, but honestly the more distance I get from it, the more I hate it and the more I just don't want to think about it anymore. And then finally, I read Monster Volume 5. I have Volume 7 here because I've been checking them out for my library and I had to return Volume 5. This is a series by Naoki Urasawa and it's so good. It's so good. This is a manga series. There are 9 of these perfect editions, so I am almost done. I'm so excited, but kind of sad about that. This series follows a Japanese doctor called Kenzo Tenma, who is working in Germany in the 80s. He's a famous neurosurgeon at this hospital, and he is dating the hospital director's daughter. He's in really good with the director and is kind of working his way up the ladder. However, he's constantly being asked to forgo his morals as a surgeon at this job. Namely, the director will typically ask him to treat more high-profile patients before patients that actually came in first that don't have as high social status. He's in a bit of a tough place and he's having some doubts about his career. Amidst all of this, a child comes in who has been shot in the head, and Tenma decides to operate on him as opposed to a wealthy, I think it's like an opera singer that comes in after him. He's like, this is my stand, I'm doing the right thing. He saves this boy's life. Then we go forward 10 years in the future, and we find out that he might have reason to regret saving that boy's life. And that's all I'm gonna say. I don't think I should say more. This series is perfection. It is so good. The plotting is so intricate. The characters, including the side characters, are complex and have motives that make sense and act in ways that are very human. The story gets dark and it gets complicated and complex, and sometimes it's hard to follow because it's so smart, but it's so worth it. And honestly, I really just don't want it to end. I've just loved my experience with this series. It is a series that I did start and get kind of lost in about a year ago, or at the end of 2023. So I did put it on pause for a long time, and I eventually restarted it when I started this read through back in January. And the one caution I would have to anyone that wants to read it is that it's probably a series that's best read as quickly as you can. There are lots of side plots that do end up being all connected. They don't feel unnecessary, but there's lots of characters, lots of things going on, and I would say it can be a little bit easy to get lost, especially if you have some space from the story. So that would be my tip, and that was what kind of like stopped me from finishing my series the first time around. But I have no regrets. Like, I'm so excited to finish this. I'm worried about the ending. I'm worried I'll be sad because I don't really know where it's going. I think it's too smart for me. I can't actually, sorry, this is such a side note, but I was really proud of myself yesterday because I was reading volume 6 and I guessed a twist, and I was so proud of myself. But usually this is way too smart for me. Yeah, I love this series. You should read it. That's all I have to say. Oh, also I gave volume 5 4.5 stars out of 5. So those are all the books I read in February. Again, not too many, but I think I read some pretty good ones for the most part. One thing you will notice is that I did not read The Fellowship of the Rings in February. If you've seen my Hobbit video, I'm supposed to be reading a book a month in the Lord of the Rings series from February to April, and I read The Hobbit in January. Honestly, I didn't even get around to starting The Fellowship of the Ring until the end of February. I'm currently reading it now, so I'm a bit behind. But when it comes to what I'm reading in March, I'm reading The Fellowship of the Ring. I think right after that, I'll have to go to The Two Towers. So I'm excited about those. I do have some library holds that I want to get to, namely Watermoon by Samantha Soto Yembao. This was one of the new releases I was the most excited for this year, and it came out back in January. And then I also have finally volumes 4 and 5 of Witch Hat Atelier, which I've been waiting for on hold for like 2 months at my library. I kind of am feeling like I have a lot to read though, so some of these might fall to the wayside. But the last thing I do want to mention that I want to get to in March, if not April, is rereading Legendborn, so that then I can go on to Bloodmarked and finally read Oathbound, which I finally got yesterday. Oh, let me show you. It's so chunky. I got it in the mail yesterday, but look how gorgeous it is. I'm so excited to read this, like genuinely so excited. Although it's kind of sad because I wanted to pre-order it and now I have to get the hardbacks of the other two because I have paperbacks right now. So then this is like the inside, it's fine. But this, like, these cover pages are really interesting. Like, there's pancakes. I don't know. I'm really excited about this, but I do want to fully do a reread of the first 2 books before I get to it so that I feel like I can properly enjoy it. I just thought I'd give you a quick update because I don't have that many books I talked about in this video. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a like and think about subscribing. We have a lot of fun on my channel. If you're still watching to this point, leave some sort of monster emoji for monster. I love you. I hope you're having a good day, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Bye.